Alright, we got a couple projects to do this morning. One of them is to get this 101. We need a couple of 101s. That one right behind me here. When you get that thing, I gotta do a bunch of stuff to it. It might just end up being a parts radio, but I need to see for sure that the tubes came out of it work good in my other one. So we're gonna do that here in a second. So this one right here. Let me log this contact real quick. I'm on here doing ft8. This one right here is low power on 10 meters, really, really bad. Like 20 or 30 watts. And it could just be an alignment, tube neutralization, a bunch of things could cause that. That one over there, and then we got this one over there. And this is the only one that works normal. That one's, the 101B actually does pretty good, but I noticed maybe no real difference in the tubes, so I'm curious. I know this one is like full output, so we're gonna use it to test. So anytime before I remove tubes in these, I take a screwdriver like this one I don't care about, and I make sure to do that, and then I carefully pull these out of the way, and then you reach in like that, not on the top of the cap. You will pull these off on some of them. It's hard to tell what these might have been. Maybe GEs. But they don't match either. I think that one, you move these too many times and they eventually break and you're going to have to resolder them. This one here, I find it's easiest to reach in like this.
My usual weekly retirement line.
These were in the other radio. And I put them in this one to see if they would perform any differently. I see absolutely no markings. You can also kind of look inside. I have one that worked really good and the cap came off. I tried to solder it back on to no avail. So I think this is the better tube. But these are definitely not the same. So I'm going to sit it right there on that. And then I'm going to move this radio. This radio is going to have to get worked on later. So this is one that I got from some guy that was like, yeah, should work fine. I haven't used it since the 80s. Well, probably knew it didn't work. When I got it home, it didn't do anything. It just made a horrible squeal. I had to take it apart and clean a lot of the cards. I think one of the relays in here, particularly this one here, needs to be removed and cleaned. Maybe that one back there. And then the band switch seems to be needing to be cleaned also. So it's a bit of a project, but it does work. It's just that it doesn't work well. You know, as much as I really think I should get rid of these, I don't think it really matters in the scheme of things. Like, the last things that I should probably be getting rid of are my radios. I have a lot of other crap laying around that takes up space. Just random crap that, like, you know, is easily replaceable or not even necessary. And the problem is, for like what you can get for one of these in working good condition versus what it's worth in parts isn't even close to the same thing. But this B is kind of sentimental to me because it was the first one that I bought. And then I've had maybe 2 or 3 other ones that I don't have anymore. I bought a 101E from a guy in Washington, like Renton, and he got it from somebody else, and his house smelled like a pot farm, and he was like extremely stoned. I will never forget that guy. He lived in the ghetto area. He lived in like a white dude in a predominantly black neighborhood, and his whole house smelled like pot. Anyway, I think I paid somewhere between $50 and $80 for that radio, and it ended up having some problems, and the tank coil wire for 10 meters was burned up to the point where it was gone. You touched it and it fell off, and that was really hard to repair. But I was able to fix that. So that one got sold to the terrorizer, and I think he blew it up, or he sold it to somebody else. Then let's see, I got another one from my friend Mike that needed a lot of work and was really dirty, and it came from Alaska originally. The guy had right in the lip of here, he had inscribed his name in the lip of the radio. His name was Harley, and he was from Alaska, and he was a pretty well-known guy in the amateur radio club there. And I just kind of looked up the information on it. It was pretty cool to like find the history on radio. I always find that to be fascinating. So this one here, I know a little bit about just because the guy gave me a lot of stuff with it. He gave me a manual, he gave me extra speakers, extra tubes, spectronics, frequency counter, a VFO for like, I think I paid him $350. And I bought it from him in 2016 or 17. I think it was 16. I'm almost pretty sure. And this was back when we were in Washington. So I drove to Mount Vernon to meet him, and he was from Bellingham. We were living in Everett at the time. And I remember thinking he was pretty old. There was like some kind of electronics place in Mount Vernon that I'd never even heard of, even though like I grew up out there. But I remember thinking he was pretty old, and every once in a while I would look to see if he was silent key or not on QRZ, and I checked recently, a couple days ago, he's silent key as of 2021, and his name was Gary Pettigrew, and he lived in Bellingham. And that's about all I know about him. He's probably not the original owner, but he might have been. I think he told me he bought it used in 1974. Because it's a B. So I don't know what year it would be. 71, 72, 73, 74. There is no tag on the back of it, so I don't know how old it is. Usually there's a tag on the back of these things. I'm going to show you right there. That one's a 76. I have a 76 and another 76, and one has 11 meters and one doesn't. So they did all kinds of weird stuff. This one doesn't say 11 meters, but it does have it in the auxiliary position. They just moved it over. But this one here works really well. So they look good, and I think that's part of the reason I like them. And they're usually pretty easy to fix. This is the biggest thing, is you need to have an extra set of tubes laying around if you're going to use them a lot. And they don't handle being mistuned. I've never ruined a tube or had a tube go bad in one, actually, to be honest with you. I just always buy them, and then certain ones don't have good tubes. So the B, I decided I was done with tube hybrid radios, and I traded it to my friend Jim. And somehow I ended up getting it back from him. I don't remember why I got it back from him, but I did. So, at this point in time, I'm kind of like, do I just keep it forever, or what do I do? You know, the lettering is all starting to come off of the front of it. And I'm sure you can... I could go get another B and change the faceplate if I really wanted to. I think you see how that's got that button there? See, you can't use the E plate. So the switches are different, and the microphone connector is different. So the microphone connector sits on the outside of these, and it sits on the inside of those. And the same thing with the headphone jack. So, but if I wanted to really, worry about it, I could, get another faceplate for it. Other than that, I guess it's actually in pretty good shape. I mean, they usually wear out around here or here, and then they will actually shock you through here. I bought some paint. You see that I had Sherwin-Williams mix some paint. That's as close as they got with it, which would be better than nothing, but to me it's not close enough. And that paint has been kicking around for maybe a good 5+ years now anyway, so it might not be no good. But I mean, you could paint it, cover up that stuff. I found one particular kind of paint that comes real close to matching this. And so I had one radio that was really bad, the one from Alaska, and I repainted that one. So that one actually went to the Terrorizer also. And I had sold it to some other guy named John or something. And he was like, oh yeah, I want that radio. My Elmer had one and I really want one bad. He was full of crap. He was lying. And then the next day he sold it to this guy Terry that we know. I'm like, I've noticed with hams that nobody really tells the truth. It's always like, they say whatever they think needs to be said to get what they want, and then they do otherwise. But I don't like being like that. That's not... I wasn't raised that way. I didn't grow up that way. Anyway, so we got these two here, sitting here. And we're going to pull this one out and use this as our test bed. We're going to test this one with the tubes that are in it first and just see what they're all doing. And then we're going to swap all the other tubes around in multiple configurations and see what we get. It's going to take quite some time. A tube tester would be nice.